great sessions that Steven and I just sat through, and Brian Solis said something very interesting, the pie chart that he had up there about, do you really know your customers? That's a question that we started asking ourselves at VMware. And then he pointed out that most people actually don't. Most marketers, most technologists really don't. It's kind of a shot in the dark. So I want to start with that. That's kind of what the framework of what we're going to present today. We heard a lot of great strategies on broadcasting and reaching out. So VMware, we spend just like most Fortune 1000, 5,000, 500 companies, lots of money on marketing, getting the brand out, getting the word out. And I was asked by our executives to develop a set of personas for our users. And like most of you, I've been involved in developing web personas many, many times. Now, we're a big data company, and I started thinking about how do we go about this where we have a different approach where the web personas are usable and long-lasting. So we're going to talk today about developing web personas and, by relation, content, and how you deliver content to these personas. Okay, we just went backwards. Okay, here we go. All right, just a quick intro. So I've been with VMware for about a year and a half now. I've been in consulting most of my life, involved in marketing in one shape or another. The reality of it is I am a technologist, I'm a delivery guy. But again, my customers are the marketing folks, you guys, marketing department, etc. And Steve, you want to just...
Yeah. Steven Tedjamulia with Dell. And I guess the thing to leave in your mind is 3 years ago, Michael said we want to lead in the digital space, and we spend a lot of money in digital. So he said we're going to create a digital innovation lab, and they threw $20 million at just testing out digital things. And from that, so I ran the lab, I grew it, and now we've taken all those best practices and are sharing it with Fortune 1000 companies. And we got 20 patents, and we tested everything. And the thing that was most impactful, and I sat with a gentleman from Mondelez yesterday, was big data. And this was one of the projects we worked on that, I came to Naeem and said, you got to go try this out for persona building, and we're going to share that with you.
Yep. So really quickly, do you want to cover this, or you've already covered it?
We'll covered it.
So really quickly, VMware, the cloud. We are the makers of the cloud. We are the #1 company. We're the top dog. We build the infrastructure, the software for the big cloud and big data. 50+% of VMware is owned by EMC, and EMC is big data. So just a little bit about VMware. 4.6, a little over that now, billion in revenue, 17,000 employees around the world. And we have a customer-facing portal, partner-facing portal. 95+% of our revenue is through our partners. So we're not a consumer company. All of our revenue comes from our partners. We have 450,000 plus users that are partners, 60,000 plus companies, partner companies. My job is to manage that partner experience. So that's the partner portal, the capabilities to build on top of that, and the content. How do we market the content to our partners? We enjoy great brand respect and recognition. We're just under Apple. So we're very, very proud of that, and we want to make sure that we're marketing accordingly. All right, we're going to talk about our approach, and we build that out. Steve, you want to just talk about our approach?
From spending the $20 million, there was something that we learned. We said, your company data has a lot of value. But if you tie your company data with external data sources, there's a lot of value in there. So for us to do that, we do a couple of things. We have a data crawling tool. Then crawl all the website data you want, social, Facebook, and we store that and we match it with data internal to the company. It helps you get ROI, helps you capture value. We also have data analytics and mining tools that are easy to use. So you can run regressions, correlation analysis on data to make good business decisions. We do a dashboarding capability so you can do business results for your enterprise. We create a data camp to help people learn how to use data. And finally, the whole goal of Dell is to create data-driven applications. And that's like a foundation. We talked to Naeem, we put this together for him, and we said, okay, let's run some use cases. And this is one of the use cases that has leveraged this framework to get some pretty good business results.
So what the heck is all this geek speak and data and all this stuff got to do with marketing, right? We at the right conference? And Moneyball, what's the Moneyball connection? So again, going back to what Brian said, we did not want to just have Steve or some agency come in, do a bunch of interviews, create a dozen persona, give it to us, and a month later, it's static, it's dead. We really wanted to take a completely different angle on this. And, you know, we said we're living in an age of golden data, but have we really connected the dots? And that's where Steve and his Dell Digital practice helped us. So what we did was we followed Moneyball. And I think most of the folks here, you guys have probably seen the movie. Moneyball is about the team that was ranked second to the bottom, beating out a team at the top. They picked out players that did not look like players, but they looked at the analytics. They looked at what this guy's performance was. They looked at the data. They connected the dots, and they put together a super team that when everybody looked at them, said, you're out of your mind. So we wanted to do the same thing for our content. We wanted to take the most comprehensive assessment ever done on our big data content. So we turned over to Steve over 250 gigs of data from our partner portal, from our education portal, from our global portals, from LinkedIn. We went beyond just our data. Steve actually went out to the industry, Dun & Bradstreet, Twitter, etc., and just built this monumental data frame where we started looking at correlations. It's one thing to sit with a potential partner or an existing partner or customer and say, hey, what do you think about our website and this and that? It's a whole other to actually go and see the truth behind that, because their actions reveal the truth in the data, right? When we talk to our partners and customers, and we do this for years, hey, I need you to improve this, or this thing really sucks on your site, I need you to... That's great. We have mountains of those reports, and they're sitting on desks just gathering dust. But Steve came in, and we were able to basically go and see what is the reality of what they're actually doing in a complete life cycle, coming in and registering for a service, downloading and getting education services from our site, completing a transaction, failing, where are they failing, and hopping, where are they going from this web asset to that web asset, and tracking all of that. What are they doing in the public space, in the social space? What are they doing on Facebook and our LinkedIn channels and Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. And we started connecting the dots, and that really was the Moneyball moment for us. So we had a team of data scientists, or Steve had a team of data scientists, as I said, just collecting every single piece of data we could find, over 265 gigs for 6 months. This presented us with a brand new view of looking at our customers the way we had never looked at our customers before. And we're going to talk today about the 4 different tracks that developed as a result of this. Okay, and I apologize, there's a lot of material to cover. There's just so much good data, pardon the pun, that came out of this. And I think it's really important that you understand this and start asking yourselves, yes, we're spending millions of dollars on marketing content, but are we chasing the right customer? Do we know our customers? And hopefully you'll walk away with this today. All right, we're going to talk about our approach, our play number 1 on the big data research and how we went about that. We talked a little bit about that already. We're going to talk about an industry-first benchmark that Dell Digital put together for us, and we coined it the Partner Engagement Score. This is the ability to rank and score our partners, in your case customers, really could be anybody. And then after doing the assessment, coming up with these benchmark and yardsticks, what do you do in terms of the opportunities that come out of that? So the opportunities that lie ahead, and then finally we develop the personas. Interestingly enough, the personas are a byproduct, right? That's what we started with, but they're actually a byproduct. And then lastly, keeping score. building a dashboard. All right. We, like I said, we have 460,000 users registered to our site. The first thing we did was put our arms around a reasonable scope. We're not going to look at 460,000 users. That's unreasonable. Who is statistically relevant? So we started applying filters to who has been logging into our site, who came in one time to download a white paper and went away. Never had any activity after that. So we started applying filters, who actually had some piece of transaction on our site within 18 months, who actually earned revenue for us. So the first filter, who, in our case, who generated $5,000 worth of sales with us over the last year and $10,000 over their lifetime. Anybody below that, statistically speaking, from a marketing standpoint, still very important, but statistically speaking, not very important. And then we applied a second filter. So we took this mountain and we brought it down to what was most statistically relevant, the richest attributes, and they were going to help us tell a story that we could then follow. All right, the eye chart. So lots and lots of data. What was the total number of slides we had in this deck?
160 or something.
Yeah, we're going to go through all 160 in this presentation. So just a quick visual here. Just pay attention to the axes, right? On top, this is our partner types. Consider them your customer types. What type of customers do you have that are, again, statistically relevant? These are not our only partner types. We actually probably have 3 times this. But those other ones are not making us money. Those other ones are not engaging with us. So we want to work on the core and then start thinking about prospecting to the others.
I think to Jenny's point, marketers like a rooster, right? I have 2 million contacts or 10 million contacts. You like to brag about your numbers, and then if you ask a data scientist to go in there and really tell you how many you have, it's probably like a third of it. That's all relevant.
It's relevant, yep.
Right, and that's what we started discovering at VMware is like, oh, we have all of these partners. How many accounts? A very small percent.
Yep, absolutely. Who's relevant to you? Who is going to, as we just heard in the previous message, who are you going to deliver that message to that is then going to message their network? These are the relevant first core network for us. Then we started looking at attributes that were important to us. Things like revenue, things like engagement, basically site logins, if they were logging in repeatedly, engaging with us, and a bunch of other. And again, this is a limited set. We actually had well over 200 when we first started. But what is most relevant to your story? This is what's relevant to us. Number of orders they placed, number of employees they have because we can influence those salespeople, engagement, amount of content they accessed, et cetera, et cetera. So this painted a very somber picture, right? The truth presented itself.
And quick finding on that one, VMware would always look at the top levels of partners and call those are the guys who make me all the money, and I should put all my marketing dollars behind that. All of a sudden we started looking at this and we said, the ones who have greatest growth opportunity are sitting in the middle. And they are actually the ones making more money than the ones that you think are your target market.
Yeah,
the only way you knew that was because you were able to figure out what are they making and what percent of revenue are they driving in the growth. And all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, I'm probably investing on the wrong people.
Just because the guy or gal made you a very large portion of money, revenue, last year, doesn't mean he or she is the most important, right? We looked at the percentage of sales that they're doing for us as a whole of their revenue, and it might be tiny compared to the next guy who made us half the money, but we are 6% of his story, whereas the first guy is only 1%. So lots of different findings, and this brings to us not a conclusive rule book, but rather an open platform to ask these questions. Okay, so some of the sombering pictures and the reality that came out of this assessment. We look at our complete base of user engagement. So the 450,000 users that I was talking about, out of those 450,000, how many actually have taken a course with us? And being a technology company, one of our big requirements for our partners is you need to take a course, so you're certified. We went from 3 digits to 2 digits. Then we said, okay, let's look at other engagement factors. How many times have they logged into our portal over their lifetime? We went down to 1 digit. That final number that you see on the bottom, you don't see on the bottom, is actually 2%. So this is the picture we presented. We're presenting actually this week and next week to our executives to say, hey, we spend this much amount of money, we've got this many users, and we tout it, but the reality is we only have 2% engagement. So you ask yourself the same question about customers. And again, this is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a reality filter for marketing purposes. And I'm going to skip the partner engagement one just for the sake of time.
It's big debatable, right? Because it causes, like from a marketer, if they come in and say, you know what, you're spending all this money, but you're not getting anybody to log in, right? The CEO says, what's the deal with his marketing team? Because now it's transparent, and it causes a lot of like body quakes within the whole organization that the data is now exposed, right? And you're not as good as you thought you were.
So like I said, for us, in our case, our partners have to be certified. And we create lots of different certifications. There's a technical, there's a marketing, there's a sale, there's all kinds of certifications and education and courses you can take with us. And we spend a lot of money, just like I'm sure you guys do as well. And again, we went back to the data and said, what are people actually interested in actually doing from all these different efforts? And we realized, you know what, the big interest spike that we have is around sales and technology. The rest of them kind of drop off. Are we focused around what the demand is, or are we focused around what we think it should be? So again, it presents a picture that we should start thinking about how we want to cater our message.
It was funny here because I remember sitting through a marketing meeting with Naeem, and I was talking to the marketing manager. And she said, look, we are going to heavily invest on executives and marketers to use our product. And they didn't have this data before. And they were thinking, I got a lot of those in my database. I got 3 million, 4 million people. And then when she saw this, it was quiet. Like, I don't have any, I'm like telling my story to the wind. That I don't really know who my user base is. And I think I do. And it kind of seems right, but are they really there?
It goes back to, B2B. Marketing, who are you marketing to? Are you trying to market to the executives and the operations guys and gals and those? Or should you be focused more around sales and technical, or whatever the parameter is for you? During the registration, we also realized, again, we only had anecdotal data before, but we realized, 52% of the people that engage with us on our website don't even supply the information of what their role is. These are unknowns. That tells us there's a problem. We've got to fix that. This is a list of our most popular courses, and the only point I'm going to make here is, again, lots of revelation from looking at this mountain of data and the data correlation that goes underneath that. And it's a fraction. So a fraction of the courses that we offer are actually taken and consumed by our customers. Same thing for certifications. Content. So this is our partner portal content, 15,000 plus pages. Again, we're not a consumer site. We don't have that many pages. 15,000 pages. Teams spread out globally. We localize this site into 9, 10 different languages. We had a team of over 100 content authors. We narrowed it down from finding some of this research to about 25. But we spend all of that effort, and we find out that the consumption in this case is actually, what, 1% of all the content that we're putting out there.
Just think about this with your marketing. Say it's $30,000 per piece of content, or agency engages with you with different pieces. If you take an audit on how many people really see all that money you spent on content, you discover the number could be at 1%. You just wasted a whole bunch of company money on content that's never been viewed. But you don't know that. But if you take that audit, then your marketing team was like, uh-oh, I'm just not being very effective.
Now, again, keep in mind, I'm being a little derogatory with my own company, but I think that's the reality of it, and I think it's okay, to admit it. Again, we enjoy a very high Net Promoter Score. We're right under Apple. We're very highly respected. Whenever we talk to our partners, they always tell us, we love you guys. You know, it's a badge of honor for them to have a VMware certification. So we enjoy, you know, we're from a brand recognition and a partner relationship, customer relationship, we score very high all the time. So if that's the case for us, you should start thinking about what is that case for you.
You doubled revenues last year, right? It's like they're not struggling. They're doubling revenue. Stocks going up. They're going like crazy.
We're doing just fine.
But then you start opening the kimono and say, oh, what's reality?
Yep. All right. So looking at all of that data for 6 months, for science dudes just pouring through this stuff, we said, Steve, we always look at this stuff in terms of revenue. Who gave us the most revenue? Who made the most sales? Who did all this? What else do we need to be looking at? And so Steve went off and worked with his team of data scientists and came back and said, hey, Naeem, VMware, we have a formula for you. This is an industry first. Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, so everybody sits in a room and debates. If you remember that Moneyball movie, that Brad Pitt sits in a room and there's all these sorcerers and they're trying to figure out what are the players that are going to make the next big, they're going to take athletes, the Oakland athletes to the next big, win. And they start debating players and he's like, no. And then he throws out a guy and everybody starts debating, right? He's not good looking, he doesn't have this good batting average, doesn't hit home runs. And then Brad Pitt says, I'm not going to listen to any of you. And he looks at the nerd in the corner, right, with the glasses. He says, what do we need to do? He says, get on base. So for Naeem, we said, okay, here's all these variables that marketing's been debating forever. What do I need to do? What are the things I got to do? What kind of messaging? Do I do this crazy thing and that thing? We said, okay, well, we're going to come up with a formula and tell you how much each of your activities are worth and what you need to do to get your growth. And we're going to quantify it for you. So we created this formula and we ran through it, and he'll show you some of the results.
Yep. And again, this is 34 plus variables. Engagement to us is not just revenue, right? You make us money, great, we love you, but what are you doing for our brand? How are you socializing? And all the other things that we're interested in. How are you going to help us grow from a $5 billion to a $20 billion company, et cetera? So lots of different attributes, 35 variables. All right, we're going to rush through a little more. I just got the 5-minute warning. So from all of that data assessment and having this industry-first formula being applied to assess that benchmark of what is my customer value to me, who is important, and it's not necessarily the guy who makes me the most money, where are the opportunities? What can I do? So again, the Dell Digital team went out and developed the data correlations to start looking at all of these different attributes that we just talked about. And we started seeing opportunities in putting our content strategies around a bunch of different channels and variables, and I'm going to talk just about a few of them really, really quickly. So digital marketing, where are we focused today? Well, we're focused on YouTube and LinkedIn, and we've got a bunch of channels and videos and this and that. What else should we be looking at? The data came back and started telling us what's really relevant and what's not relevant. There are factors that the data will tell us that we're actually wasting time, or our partners are going to waste time if they spend a lot of time on Google. That doesn't seem common sense. Why would you spend time? How could you spend money with Google and lose? Well, again, this is the data telling us that. This is data theory. This doesn't mean that we're going to go tell our partners, hey, if you do a YouTube video with us, with VMware in there, you're going to earn $101,000 and you're going to earn just a little over $101,000. That's not what it means. What it means is that if you connect the dots, this is the trending. This is the patterns that we're beginning to see. So, Mr. Customer or Mr. Partner, thank you for co-branding with us. Focus more on YouTube stuff. Focus less on doing blogs. Because you know what? It's not as relevant, or you're going to get more bang out of it for your buck if you do the following. So this is just one example on digital marketing.
And to add to that one, so what we did is we scraped all of their partner websites. And we created a dictionary to figure out what are the marketing activities that they do, and then we correlate that to the revenue. Right? And then we could tell, okay, if this partner blogs more than that one, what's the effect? So that's where this came up, and I remember I went to their big partner exchange, and there was like 3 classes on how to blog as a partner about VMware. And then when this came back, it was like, if you're blogging, I think what's the number? You're losing, if you get a partner to blog, you're losing $27,000. Because if you're buying enterprise software, you just go read blogs, right? You're going out, you're calling the sales rep. I mean, you're doing other things besides reading that blog. So all that money that they're putting to blog, pay people content, X, Y, Z, is just money down the drain. So this was one telling thing for them is, where do I invest now?
Yep. And so we did this for a bunch of other attributes or marketing campaigns and efforts that we need to think about. We did it for geo, and then just a whole bunch of things. What product set should we be focused on? Who should our partners partner with? What verticals should they go after? So again, this is information now that we can take to our partners or customers and say, hey, Mr. Customer, I've done the data analytics. It makes more sense for you to do this and this and this because I have the data behind all that to prove it.
And there was one interesting one we did around the content. What content is generating most money? And it was shocking. Like one of them, I think I'm okay. Someone created content, it's a pretty smart marketer, like how to partner with VMware and what to do, right? Sounds pretty cool. Well, everybody that took that one lost a whole bunch of money because it was like the ones who took it really don't know what they're doing. So they statistically said like it was a waste of time and a waste of a lot of money to create that piece of content. And that was really informative to them. It's like, whoa, hold on a minute. I'm creating content that's like wasting money, and I should stop that course right away.
Yeah. Again, it goes to money to the Moneyball example. Are you leveraging your data enough? Are you leveraging all of this wealth of public data that's available out there enough to connect the dots? The answers may not be what you think they are, and that's what we're finding. All right, quick snapshot of the personas that were developed. So from all that data analysis and qualitative, we did 40+ interviews at our conferences, one-on-one. We developed these personas, right? We've all seen personas like this, or similar flavors of this, the account executive, inside sales, et cetera, et cetera. If I just presented this to my executives, they'd be happy, right? But it's not a true picture. Because again, going back to ranking of these personas, it's the sales guy or gal and the technical guy or gal that is most relevant. So I got to change the ranking of these personas. So then we went ahead and developed personas like you've probably seen before with attributes, etc. Again, except the ranking is something that is super, super relative, right? It tells half the story. So I won't go through this. And then lastly, dashboards. Now that we've done this monumental 6 months of work, we don't want the story to be static, and we don't want the story to be over in a month, right? We want to keep our finger on the pulse. We want to make sure there's so many dynamic shifting factors in the market with our customers, with our partners. All of this could change within a quarter. So we developed a user-friendly executive view, and there's lots of software out there that is available to do this. And we fed it in here, and Steve and company helped develop this so that we're not presenting those eye charts to our executives. We're giving them something that's consumable, user-friendly. We can share this, etc., so that everybody can keep an eye on what's important.
Just think about you as a brand marketer. You put out a YouTube video. You think it's super cool. All of a sudden, it's losing money for the company, right? How cool would it be if you could tell what is it making money or losing money, and how is it correlating compared to all my other initiatives, right? Treating your content as a stock market, and that's where we're going to go with the data we have. Yep. We're really going to tell you transparently, are you a good marketer or not, right? And we're not going to hide that, but that's where the data is going.
Yep. So I'm going to just wrap up. I think we're just about out of time. Step one, take a deep, hard look at your data. Yes, you guys are all marketers, but the data connects to what you're trying to do. It's that pre-step. Don't just leave it to the propeller heads, right? You guys should be talking to your IT project managers and your data analysts within your companies. They're sitting on this gold mine of stuff, and they're not going to produce this result set for you unless you go to them and ask. Super critical. And don't just look at your internal data, internal, external, industry, social, gather all that stuff together. Look at it quantitatively as well as qualitatively. Step two, once you've done that for 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is, start building a strategy to address your content to that, right? those 15,000 pages that we have on our site, we need to start seriously killing 90% of it, changing the way we present it. We need to think about streamlining it. We need to think about, do we want to be utilitarian, or do we want to continue to be a mountain of information as we are today? And do we want to hoard everything inside the firewall? Maybe we should just move it out and make it more accessible. And map to the complete customer lifecycle, end to end, right? I don't just care about you when I'm making a sale. I care about you before that, pre-sales and post-sales, right? I think Brian or somebody else talked about the complete lifecycle. And then lastly, have a measurement in place, have an analytical dashboard or some capability where you can come back and revisit this on a quarterly, monthly, weekly, whatever it is. And you're going to have different views, different dynamic dashboards. Marketing wants one view, operations wants one view, etc. Okay? You want to add anything else, Steve?
No, that was it. I think it's the beginning, and what this does for you is it builds your business case. So what do you do next, right? And Adele, we've had to do that a lot, and that helped us figure out, how do I really change marketing? And it's a starting point I think it's a revolution of digital content, right? And this is the beginning.
Yeah. Are we going to open it?
Any questions?
Yes, sir. I've got a couple of questions. Robert Manthrow, Symantec. Did you guys have to do anything to set up your sites to be able to collect all that data over the 6 months? Because, I mean, we, like, just basic metrics like page views, I mean, that stuff's pretty simple, but if you're actually getting down to, like, contact object level, I mean, how did you have to do anything special to set that up to be able to, like, extract the data?
So just a simple answer, and then Steve, you can jump in. We basically completely opened our doors to Steven's team. I mean, we gave them all our revenue, we gave them everything. And, you know, we're a pretty open culture company. I don't know if that's going to fly with a lot of places, but if you're going to try to get a holistic view, you got to get your data guys to just dump everything to a trusted vendor and say, look at everything. So, but coming back to your question, it wasn't very difficult for us. We had Steve's team working directly with our IT folks.
And also we web crawled a lot of things, right? Because IT might not be able to give you everything, but we can crawl it. We got data from Compete. We got data from Dun & Bradstreet. We really tried to put the whole picture together for you. If you talk to our IT team, it may take like 3 years, right? But we did it. It was in 6 months. And now they have all of this data centralized to build out the rest of the stuff they need to do.
Shafka from Newscat. Are you competing with the data warehousing guys? Like, it sounds very much like old school data warehouse projects that I've heard about in the tech world. Is this something similar?
Well, I think all the principles are the same, right? You take data, you run regressions, you statistical, right? You display data. The part that's different in marketing is we accumulate all this data over a long period of time, right? But if you talk to data scientists, they have no idea about our world. So what we're doing is we're applying marketing strategy to data in a way that it could actually lead to results. So no innovation is created just from scratch, right? You're building on top of each other. So we build on all the right principles, but we apply the view that all of us care about to it.
Great. Thanks, guys. Sorry, I'll have to get you next time.